If you would raise your right hand for me. You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Ma'am, have a seat, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Taylor Paxton. I am a forensic DNA technician for the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
Before you became a forensic DNA technician, what did you do for the Sheriff's Office?
Before I was a DNA technician, I was a law dispatcher for about a year and a half.
Are you also a crime scene investigator?
I am.
How long have you been doing crime scene investigation work for the Sheriff's Office?
I'm cross-trained with it with DNA, so about 2.5 years.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office in total?
About 4 years.
Can you describe for the jury your training and experience that allows you to do crime scene work?
I have a bachelor's degree with the University of South Florida for interdisciplinary social sciences, training through the National Forensic Science and Technology Center, as well as 6 months on-the-job training for DNA and about 4 months on-the-job training for crime scene investigation.
Have you heard the term processing a scene?
Yes, I have.
Can you describe for the jury what that means and what it involves?
Typically, that will involve taking photographs or overalls of the scene. Sometimes it'll be also a video, and then you will investigate the scene, see if there's anything of potential value, and then you will collect those items if necessary.
Do you often, especially if the scene is such as a homicide type scene or some kind of a more complicated scene, do you work in teams?
Often, yes.
And why is that?
There's usually a lot to process, a lot to collect, and it's just crime scene techs helping each other.
Are there different ways to collect different types of evidence?
Yes, there are.
What do you mean by that?
So some items might be swabbed, some items might be collected whole. It all depends on the scenario. Some items may only have fingerprints on them, which you collect the fingerprints off of them. It all depends on what needs to be collected.
And are you trained in the different methods of collecting and processing different types of evidence?
Yes, I am.
When you collect or find a piece of evidence that you think could be relevant to something, explain to the jury what you do with it if you're going to take it into custody and collect it.
If I'm going to take it into custody, first off, I will take an overall photo of it. So that's just a general photo of the area with the item in it. Then I'll take a mid-range photo of it, which is a closer-up photo, and then it's a close-up photo, which is just the item itself. Then I might label it with what's called an easel, which is like a yellow tent with a number on it, and then I will take more photos of it and then collect the item in a paper bag.
You say you put it in a paper bag?
Yes.
Once you collect it and put it in a paper bag, what do you do with it?
It will then be sealed. We put our tag on it. It depends on what it is, but it'll be the case number, our initials, the date, all that kind of information, and then it will be taken into custody.
And how do you seal it?
That will be sealed with a type of evidence tape all the way around all the openings.
What do you do with that tape to make sure that a year or so down the road, people know that you were the one that collected it?
That will be tagged, so that will have my initials and my unit ID on it.
Let me direct your attention to Friday, June 2nd of 2023. Did you respond? Unit 3.
Yeah, if I may, it was technically both 107th lane and 108th lane, but yes, it was on a curve.
Is that in Marion County?
Yes, it is.
Can you describe for the jury the type of structure that location, that apartment 3, is part of?
Unit 3 or Apartment 3, it's part of a building called a quadplex, so it's essentially 4 separate apartments that are built into one building.
When you arrived, was there already a yellow crime scene put up around the area?
Yes, there was.
Can you tell the jury a picture of what was going on when you arrived?
So it's about 10 o'clock at night, so it's pretty dark. I get there, there's multiple Marion County Sheriff's Office personnel on scene, pretty much just talking to the bystanders nearby. There was crime scene tape wrapped around what I would consider the east or the right side yard area by this unit, and there was several items scattered throughout the yard.
Without telling me what was said, because the rules in this situation don't let me ask you what other people said, but were you given an update or a briefing on the status of the investigation up to the point where you arrived?
Yes, I was.
Does that information help you in processing a scene and determining what things are relevant versus not relevant?
Yes, it does.
Did you take photos of the residence?
Of the exterior and yard area, yes.
Did you ever go inside Unit 3, the residence?
No, I did not.
Was that somebody else's role?
Correct.
And who was that?
That was Catherine Medina.
And who is she?
She's, at the time, she was a crime scene investigator. Now she's a supervisor.
As far as your role in this case, was it primarily focused on the outside area?
Yes, that's correct.
Your Honor, may I have access to the TV, please? Showing you photograph 7 of States 1. What does this show?
This is the front yard area of Unit 3.
And where is the front door to Susan Lorinc's residence?
If you see the middle green mailbox, it's just above that. So just behind that big tree.
Just behind the tree, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. We see the yellow tape strung up. What is that?
That's the crime scene tape, sectioning off that area.
Showing you photograph 8 of States 1. What do we see here?
That's just to the right of the image that you just saw. So it's the rest of the yard and more crime scene tape.
Between the residence that you were called out to investigate and the residence to the right of that, is there a relatively large open field?
Yes, there is.
Showing you photograph 9 of States 1. You mentioned some yellow easels to mark evidence. What do we see here?
You can't really see the ones in the back, but the one in the front, you can see one of the roller skates with an easel labeled 1.
Now, was this skate at easel 1, was that located outside of the crime scene tape?
Yes, it was.
Did you have any involvement in putting up the crime scene tape and determining how big to make the area?
No, I did not.
Did you collect that roller skate?
Yes, I did.
Yes, sir?
We look to mark takes the age identification. What is that item?
This is a green and black roller skate from easel 1. May I have gloves at all?
Small, medium, large?
Medium is fine. Sorry. Thank you.
Is that item sealed like you previously described with evidence tape?
Yes, it is.
Have your initials on that seal?
Yes, it does.
All right. Can you just open that up and get a chance to look inside and tell me if you recognize the contents? Scissors be easier?
Possibly. Thank you. Sorry, yes, it is.
What's inside?
Oh, it is a black and green roller skate.
Is it the same or substantially the same condition as when you collected it that evening?
Yes, it is.
This time state would move H into evidence as 7.
Objection.
Without objection?
Correct, no objection.
Without objection, states H should be in evidence as number what?
7?
7.
Yes. Can you just take it out and show it to the jury?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Did you find any other roller skates in that taped off area?
Yes, I did.
Actually, I went ahead. Is that photograph 10 of States 1? Is that just a close-up of the skate you just showed?
Yes, it is.
Where are the other two the other roller skates that you mentioned?
You can kind of see them. They're on the right side of the screen. I believe they're marked 2 and 3. Yes.
Showing you photograph 12 of States 1. Is this just a close-up of those two skates?
Yes, it is.
Photograph 13 of States 1. What does this show?
It's a blue and white pineapple pattern roller skate.
Mr. Mark states Exhibit I for identification. Did you collect that skate in the single photo?
Yes, I did.
Can you open that up, look inside, and tell me if you recognize the contents, please.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Actually, if I may, this is from easel 3.
Oh, I can use it wrong now.
Approaching the top of the hour, but I must ask you, Eric, per you're still with me, did she start it? This is that roller skate that Lorincz allegedly threw at Owens' kid. Did she start all this?
And that roller skate is not helping the defense. The idea that a person who's inside of their house with a locked door shoots through that door, and the fact that they clearly had some previous problems, including what seems to be this roller skate throwing situation, is not helping the defense one bit.
Does not paint her in a good light, does it? This is a case I don't think her defense is going to be successful, but certainly we'll have to see what the jury does, what else is presented. All right, Eric, any final thoughts as you're watching this unfold and how the state is doing with its case?
Well, I think the state has a relatively easy case compared to a lot of other shooting cases. And it just goes to show what I've had to tell some clients over the years. Using a gun in self-defense is a last resort. It is not something that one should look forward to or try to find a reason to justify. It's a last resort.
Yeah, and somebody said to me, it's one thing to be fearful. It's another thing to be in fear for your life. Two very, very different things. And I appreciate, Eric, your gun expertise. Thank you so much for joining me this hour. Stay with us, folks. We have so much more here on Court TV. Michael Ayala is going to join me. We are going to have more of the testimony from the Knocking Neighbors shooting trial. This young mother, 4 children shot through a door. Let us know your thoughts. Stay with us. Court TV, your front row seat to justice. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Michael Ayala. We're both here today giving you your front row seat to justice.
It's the first day of testimony in the Knocking Neighbors shooting trial. Susan Lorincz is charged with manslaughter and assault. She's on trial for the death of her neighbor that she shot through her locked front door. She says she was scared and that she shot in self-defense.
Now, 35-year-old Ajike Owens was knocking on Lorintz's door to confront her over an incident involving her kids. Well, a crime scene investigator is on the stand now, so let's get back into court.
Let me show you first. Let me show you State's Exhibit J.
There we go. Yes, easel 2.
Is that also sealed?
Yes, it is.
Can you open it up, look inside, tell me if you recognize the contents?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a blue and white pineapple roller skate.
Same one we see in the picture?
Yes.
Is it the same or substantially the same condition as when you collected it?
Yes.
This time, State would move J into evidence as State 8.
No objection.
States J being evidence is number 8. Without objection.
And photograph, showing you photograph 14 of States 1. What does this show?
Excuse me. The other roller skate, another blue and white pineapple pattern roller skate.
Is that the skate in that bag that I gave you first?
Yes, it is.
Can you open that up, look inside, tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, it is.
What is it?
It's a blue and white pineapple pattern roller skate.
Is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you collected it?
Yes, it is.
This time, State would move I into evidence as State 9.
No objection.
Without objection, states I being evidence is states number 9.
Would you please remove one of the skates? They're the same, aren't they?
Yes.
Show you again photograph 12 of State 1. About how far were those skates from the patio entrance to Ms. Lorinc's residence?
Approximately, I would say 20 to 30 feet, not terribly far.
Showing you photograph 15 of States 1. What do we see here?
It looks like a red piece of clothing and a sign, and also the patio of Unit 3.
The patio that we see in the front door, or the front portion here, this door, is that the door to Ms. Lorinc's residence?
That is correct.
Showing you photograph 16 of States 1. What does this show?
It's the victim's red T-shirt.
Were you made aware that the victim was treated in that area and had clothing removed to help treat her?
That's correct.
And show you again photograph 15 of States 1. We see an easel in the top right next to a sign. What easel number is that?
That's easel 5.
And what was found there?
It was a no trespassing private property type sign.
Showing you photograph 17 of States 1. Can you describe that sign?
It was just a plastic black and white sign that said private property on it.
Okay. Are those the kind of signs that you can go and just buy at Lowe's?
Yes.
What are they made out of? Well, are they like heavy duty? Are they
No.
things?
It's like a piece of plastic, nothing too sturdy.
Okay. And was the sign just stuck in the ground like this when you saw it?
Yes, it was.
And photograph 18 of States 1, is that just the opposite side of the same sign?
That's the opposite side.
Thank you, ma'am. No other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Afternoon. You said that you took photos of the location
Yes,
outside of the residence.
correct.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
I am showing you what's been marked by identification as Defense Exhibit B.
Okay.
What is that?
This is the yard area where the 2 roller skates were found in the sign.
Can you go ahead and go through it and see if what else is in that pile?
Okay. Picture of the shirt. Yard around the area, the patio area. A close-up of the back door. The sliding glass door. Another picture of the sliding glass door. A picture of the private property sign in the sliding glass door. A different angle of the same. And I did not take those pictures.
Just take the first.
I didn't count them, but yes, just the exterior area up to
that point?
yes, up to this point.
All right. So those photos that you were just looking at, the first 8 of which you said that were, oh, did I leave? Oh, that's yours.
I don't know. It wasn't mine. I don't know where it was left.
I don't think that was mine either.
Sorry.
So the first 8 of those photos in defense, what's been marked for identification as Defense Exhibit B, you took those photos?
Yes.
And were they a fair and accurate representation of the photos that you took that night?
Yes.
May I have a moment to confer with counsel?
Sure.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Okay.
Need to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
She excused?
Yes, sir.
You're excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Judge, can we approach?
Yes, ma'am? You need a break? Okay. Take a short break. So leave your notebooks here and return to the jury. Remember, you cannot discuss the case.
All right, they started with a sidebar and then he excused the jury. A perfect time to bring in our guest, trial attorney and law professor Joe Richardson. Joe, we've been talking a lot about this case because you hear the facts as alleged and that the prosecution's been presenting as she literally shot someone through her door. And it's hard to imagine that that can really be in fear of your life in a circumstance like this.
Yeah, it is difficult. And then it doesn't help on top of that if there are other things that are going on that are being said, a lot of back and forth that doesn't suggest that she's in fear, but that maybe she's just in severe dislike, if not hatred. There's this back and forth and this tugging. You know, recently we were talking about this whole thing with throwing the skates and these types of things. So it is hard enough of a sell that you have to shoot through a door that presumably is not open. Because you are in reasonable fear of your life. At least that's what you allege. But all of these other surrounding things, you know, you could be hot, you could be, you know, a little nervous, you could be a little upset. All of those things could lend to you doing something that you shouldn't do, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be self-defense.
Joe, what do you make of these no trespassing signs, you know, do not enter signs that she put around her area? This was a kind of a common area where kids would play a lot. It was very common. We heard testimony earlier in the trial about that. But she had these signs up. Do they have any bearing at all on how this played out in your mind?
It could, in that she is a person that is apparently a bit of a villain in terms of how she acts. No one should be taking out aggression on children where it would, you know, you would hear them verbally make kids scared or feel a certain way by you telling them, well, you know, don't be here on this property. If there's a general area to it, how do you distinguish between what you're supposed to be on and what you're not supposed to be on? So it sounds like she was very territorial, almost daring someone to come into her area. And then if you connect it with some of her exchanges with the deceased and exchanges that other neighbors could potentially testify to, now you have some dots connected about what may be going on inside this woman's personality. And so what she's advancing as a theory of self-defense becomes a little bit less believable.
Do you believe that all the words make a real difference in this case? Here's what I mean by that. Specifically what she said or yelled, or what the victim said or yelled, because you've got allegations. We'll figure out what the evidence presents, but would it make a difference if the victim was saying something threatening? Could that be enough to put her in fear of her life as a reasonable person might, in your opinion?
Boy, it could make a difference, but you know, if they're standing in front of each other with no door in between them, I think you've got a better argument. I think the fact that she's shooting through the door, you don't know what's going to happen from her shooting from the door, whether that would actually be effective, etc. Because of this unknown piece, you don't know what's going on the other side of the door. Your door is locked, presumably. You don't know that she's getting in. You've already had some kind of exchange, which may be that victim's natural reaction to that exchange. You were both very hot, but she didn't bring a gun to shoot you through the door. You had one and you shot yours through the door. So the words could make a difference, but I don't know if it gets all the way over to justifying her shooting this woman through the door.
Yeah, I would agree. You know what's interesting? I grew up in a place similar to that, where there was a sort of central area of grass and then a bunch of buildings around.
And you all played in that area, didn't you?
We all played in that area, and there was a first floor person who lived on the first floor who was always yelling at us because we would be playing and end up breaking her window.
You pesky kids.
And she dealt with it by dealing with our parents. You know, she would go to our parents and say, look, I know your son was playing, you got to have him stop. And that was the way she dealt with it, and eventually we stopped doing that. But, you know, there's just many, many different ways to handle the situation, and yelling at kids is never the right way.
And the mother went over there to have a discussion with her, which I'm not surprised. I might have done the same thing if I'd been the mother. Certainly the mother had no idea that she would be armed and dangerous. And I do think that door is going to be key, because you're right. Through a closed door, for me, it's hard to imagine a self-defense claim is going to prevail. But that's what this jury will have to decide. And coming up next, the jury continues to view crime scene photos from the night of AJ's shooting. Stay tuned here on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a Tennessee man faces a potential death sentence in a twisted murder case. We'll bring you today's key moments as this high-stakes trial gets underway.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8, 7 Central, only on Court TV. Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, tonight, 9, 8 Central, only on Court TV.
In Florida, testimony is underway in the knocking neighbor shooting trial for defendant Susan Lorincz. Now, she was arrested back in June of 2023 and then charged with manslaughter and assault in the death of her neighbor, 35-year-old Ajike Owens.
Prosecutors say that moments before Owens was shot, Lorincz had gotten into an altercation with the 9-year-old son of Owens, prompting Owens to confront her about the incident. But let me clarify, prompting her to walk over to her house, standing at the door in order to confront her. It's not as if they were both
Let's be honest,
out.
pounding on the door.
Yes.
Right, wanting her to come out, very angry.
Yes.
So that's all part of this whole thing.
Sure, but they weren't face-to-face like we are. There was one house, and then she went to her house to confront her. All right, we want to get you back to court now. Another crime scene investigator has taken the stand for the state.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello,
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Catherine Medina.
Where do you work?
I work for the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
And what do you do for them?
I am a forensic crime scene supervisor now.
How long have you been in crime scene work at the Sheriff's Office?
Just about 9 years now.
Can you describe for the jury your training experience that allows you to do crime scene work?
I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with a specialization in criminalistics. And while I was in college, I volunteered for 3 years with the Polk County Sheriff's Office, their crime scene section. And then after I got hired, we went through a 16-week training process. And then after that, I have about 500 additional hours of specialized training.
Can you direct your attention to June 2nd, 2023? Did you become involved as a crime scene investigator in the case of State of Florida versus Susan Lorincz?
I did.
Did you end up going to the hospital to document Miss Owens, Miss Ajike Owens?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did you take photographs of certain things and clothing and things like that?
Yes, I did.
Is that standard procedure in any kind of homicide?
Yes.
After you finished there at the hospital, where did you go?
After the hospital, I went to the incident location.
Was that in Marion County?
Yes, it was.
What was going on when you arrived at the scene?
At the scene, our DNA technician, Taylor Paxton, was finishing processing the outside, and a search warrant was being completed for the interior of the residence.
Is a search warrant a document that allows you and law enforcement officers to go inside a location and collect evidence?
Yes.
And is that signed by a judge?
Yes, it is.
Did you have, we've already heard from crime scene investigator Paxton, did you have any involvement in processing the outside on the grass area?
No, I did not.
What was your focus?
My focus was mostly on the inside of the residence.
Did you take photographs of the residence and the inside of the house and things that you found inside that were relevant?
Yes, I did.
Thank you, Robert. Showing you photograph 19 of States 1. What do we see here?
Right now, you're standing in the lawn area on the side of the building, the quadruplex. Right now, we are facing her, the unit 3.
And her meeting Miss Lawrence's?
Yes.
Photograph
No.
20.
I'm so sorry. Let me correct myself. That was, yes, Miss Lorincz.
Okay, the defendant.
Yes.
Show me photograph 20 of States 1. What do we see here?
Right now you're standing at the exiting or entrance of the porch, and you can see the sliding glass doors and the front door.
Photograph 21 of States 1. What about this?
This is a close-up of the sliding glass door.
And what did you notice on the sliding glass door?
There was a sign that said no trespassing, and there was a camera that was taped to the inside of the door.
Did you examine the sliding glass doors?
Yes, I did.
Did you notice any damage to them?
No, I did not.
Any cracks, dents, breaks, anything like that?
No, I did not.
Any dents to the frame around the sliding glass door or the handle?
No.
You mentioned a camera that was taped on the inside of the sliding glass door?
Yes, the camera was taped on the inside, but the camera itself was facing outward.
Is that the black box we see to the right of the handwritten no trespassing sign?
Yes.
Photograph 22 of Stage 1, is that just a close-up of what you described?
Yes, it is.
Showing you photograph 23 of Stage 1. What is this?
This is the front door on the exterior side.
You mentioned the ring camera, or the camera on the inside of the sliding glass door. Did you have any involvement in examining that ring camera or seeing if there was any footage collected from that ring camera?
No.
That was somebody else's job?
Correct.
Turning to the front door, what did you notice of significance in the front door?
On the exterior, before going in, I did observe a hole that was suspected to be a gunshot hole.
And where on the door was that located?
It is on the first column, the second row, right there where the pointer is.
Before we get to that hole in the door, that bullet hole, showing you photograph 24 of States 1. Did you notice any damage to the door's locking mechanisms, the doorknob, the deadbolt, anything like that?
No, I did not.
Did you look for such damage?
Yes, we did.
Showing you photograph 25 of States 1. Did you notice any damage to the door frame?
Yes, I did.
Explain what you saw.
There was cracks along the door frame near the strike plates.
Did you notice any evidence of repair to that area?
Yes, it appeared to be partially repaired.
And explain what you saw.
Inside of the cracks, there were some screws that appeared to be on top of the cracks. And the deadbolt strike plate was on top of the crack, as well as it did not have significant damage to it. And the bottom lock strike plate had what appeared to be regular wear and tear on it.
Okay. Did you notice any wooden splinters or remnants of the door in the area, either right outside or right inside of the door on the ground?
No, I did not.
Did you look for that evidence?
Yes, I did.
Photograph 26 of States 1. What do we see here?
This is a close-up of the suspected bullet hole on the exterior side of the door.
And photograph 27, what does this show?
This is a close-up of the suspected bullet hole with a marker with a scale of measurement and a pointer, which is labeled A.
And why did you choose A to designate this bullet hole?
We typically have easels and pointers, and our easels have numbers and our pointers have letters to distinguish the two.
When you were examining the exterior of the door, did you?
All right, let's bring in trial attorney and law professor Joe Richardson. Joe, this is very important testimony because it's going to tell us, I would imagine, what this person thinks happened in terms of where the defendant was when she shot the gun. She, in her statement to police, said she was back in the kitchen, over by the kitchen table, sort of, and the idea you get is that she was, back cowering. But in opening statements, the state said something very different, that she actually walked up closer to the door. I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I think it makes a huge difference because it goes against, it undercuts the suggestion that you're in reasonable fear. Why are you walking toward? You're walking toward like you're an aggressor, like you're, like you're enjoying this, like you're leading up to a moment, as opposed to being back towards the kitchen where you're concerned about maybe someone kicking in the door or coming through or doing something. One of the biggest problems she may have in this case, I think it'll come out as we go along, is that even if the testimony goes against, the evidence goes against the testimony that she gave, at least in terms of being questioned prior to trial, et cetera, and the evidence undercuts that, then it makes her all the more or less believable. If all the less believable, harder to believe in this case. And so she's got a problem that way if the forensic evidence and the things that they come up with really go against all of these different things that she was saying. There's already been some inconsistencies they found. If that continues to happen, even as the things that could go one of two different ways, they would be less likely to believe her.
Well, I will say there's some little things that I think are supporting her case. And for instance, she said that she shot through the door because she was afraid that the victim was going to get through the door, even though it was locked. We just heard testimony that there was damage to the door frame, that there were cracks near the strike plates that had tried to be repaired. To me, that indicates at some point something had happened. Maybe somebody had broken into her house. I don't know that. But let me ask you this. Can actions after the shooting take away from the argument that I was in reasonable fear? Because we know after the shooting, she returned her gun to the bedroom. That's after she shot someone through the door.
Right, I think they can, in addition to certain things that are said. They suggest her state of mind, that was she really fearful and a reasonable fear of her life? So between the things she does plus the things that she says after the fact can actually suggest whether or not she was believable in the matter at hand, meaning that at the time I was in a reasonable fear of my life, and therefore this is why I did what I did. Is she acting like she has something to hide? Is she talking kind of aggressively? Is she talking like regrettably, like someone that really values another person's life and is truly sorry this had to happen, but it couldn't have gone any other way? I don't know if she's necessarily that person, but yeah, you can take things from what was said and what was done after the fact to see the extent to which it really suggests that she was correct when she said at the matter of hand, I was in reasonable fear of my life, and that's why I did what I did.
Yeah, and I would even go a step further and say, combined with the things she was saying and the things that led up to it, and the fact that if they can show that she walked up and was closer to the door, I say that shows intent.
I agree.
And I have to wonder why there wasn't murder. You know what I mean? Why this was just a manslaughter case. So all those things are in play.